So thanks for being on, Mostafa.
Thank you. Great to be here. Great to see you. I know we always have good conversations. And so I look forward to this, Connie.
Yes, 100%. And this is cool stuff, what you're doing with this call center, and it's vitally needed. So I just want everybody to understand, like, where the heck did this call center come from? And why did you start with this follow-up kind of endeavor for businesses?
For sure. So let me share the story of where I come from and how I ended up here. I went to school for marketing, and I ran a marketing agency from 2010 to 2018, and we did full service digital marketing for our clients. Now, back in the day, I learned from Dan Kennedy about the power of follow-up and customer retention and how nobody does it. And it's like a low-hanging fruit, and it's so easy to do it, but again, and it's very profitable as well. Yeah. So what would happen is, like, every time I ran out of cash or customers and appointments and leads and whatnot, I would pull my hair out for a few days and I would worry about it. And then I would slowly come to my senses, and I realized that I have a list of customers. So what I would do is I would pick up the phone, we would make a round of calls to our list, and on the day of or shortly after, we would get cash, appointments, introductions, referrals, you name it. So like, oh, this is cool. This actually works. We would get like 30 to 50% conversion rates on our calls. Like literally out of every 10 call, we would get 2 to 5 forms of conversion, whether it's like an upsell, someone would buy more stuff from us, make an introduction, or make an appointment so we could chat with them later about what we could do for them. So I kept doing this, and I started doing this I started teaching it at Simple Marketing Formula, which you joined us back a couple of years ago or so.
Yes, my sister too. She still talks about you. She learned so much. Yes.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And so the last module was always customer retention. So we go over, here's the offer, how do we find customers, how do we convert them? And the last piece, like, you got to keep your customers and you got to follow up with them. So it's like, people, here's the script, here's the process, pick this up. And I would share the script and the process in the course, like, get this, follow the script, and you're going to see results today. And nobody would do it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I tried it a few times. Then later on, we had a guy who was making calls for us. And a few times I asked, and he was looking for more work. Then I asked people in the course, I was like, hey guys, I have a guy who can make calls for you to your list. Who wants an introduction? Everybody. It's like, oh, that's interesting. Then later on, it dawned on me, and I'm like, what if we do it for you and we manage it for you? Who wants us to do that? Everybody. So that's how we ended up doing the call center. And over the years, customer retention and follow-up has been our most profitable, highest converting marketing activity, period.
Yeah.
And so that was the story on how we got into the call center. So we started a call center specializing in follow-ups, retention, customer retention, and referrals. So we fix the follow-up problem.
And you know, it's brilliant. And you and I spoke the other day, and I was like, wow, and here's the other thing, which I laugh at. It's the easiest, like in my sales process, right? It's the last step. It's the easiest step because you have a relationship with these people. So by sending them an email, how is everything going, right? Did the thing we created for you or help you with, you know, I'd love some feedback. Oh, let's jump on a call. Staying in touch is the easiest piece of the puzzle versus generating new leads, which is money and time. That this is such a simple way to generate business. And you know, me being in sales for 40 years, I lived off of referrals. 20 years I've lived off of referrals. My clients, they hire me for 5, 10, 15, 20 years that I'm working with that same group of people who bring me more people because they know you, they like you, they trust you, you get the results for them. And yet we don't make those follow-up calls. It makes my brain hurt when I go, what do you mean you didn't make your follow-up calls? Like, what are you talking about? So everything you're saying is so brilliant. So here's my next question. Because now you started this call center based on the need that was out there. And that I want to comment to everybody listening. Notice Mostafa didn't say, I'm going to create a call center because I think people need help with follow-up. He asked people, said, would you want us to do it for you? Hell yeah, was the response. And then he created the call center. So just a little tip in there as well. But talk to me about, why do you think, or why have these clients told you they're not following up? Like, what's the glitch there?
So to my surprise, most people actually hate to pick up the phone and they're afraid of having conversations straight up. And that's the short answer. And I was like, because it's natural to me, like, give me a number, I'll call them up, I'll chat with them,
Yeah.
especially if I have a relationship for them, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And if I've done something for them or with them, or there is some sort of, there's a transaction happening of some sort. They opted in to get something, or they're my existing customer, past customer, or whatnot, I would do that in a heartbeat. But people hate to do that. And I had to learn that the hard way and the long way, which tells you how smart I am. And I'm like, people, here's the script. It works, and nobody would do it. So that's why. Like, we don't want to pick up the phone.
And you know what's funny is I had a call with one of my power partners. You know, we refer to each other and we support each other. And we met this morning. Something always comes from it. As we were chatting, we're like, oh my God, you need to meet this one, you need to meet that one. I have to send, just before we jumped on, because I hung up there, I got one quick email out, but there's 2 more emails I have to send doing an intro from a conversation. And she's doing the same thing for me for the book I'm sponsoring. It's so easy, yet nobody does it. So I'm a little baffled when I hear that as well, because you know the person you're reaching out to, it's not like it's a cold call. This is, like, to me, a super warm building relationship call, right?
100%. And so, can I share what we do in the context behind
Yeah,
it?
why don't we, because that will help people who say, well, I could do this. So go ahead, share that. That's great.
So the biggest problem that we solve is the fact that most businesses have a list of prospects, customers, existing customers, and past customers, and they're out there spending a ton of time and money to find new customers while totally ignoring their existing list of people.
Yeah.
So the people are being ignored. The second biggest problem that we solve is that some of these people, they know they should stay in touch with their list, but they don't have the time, the manpower, the resources, and the systems to do it.
Sure.
And like I mentioned earlier, most of them hate to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And so, and then we only work with an existing list of people. Like, it's so much easier. Somebody downloaded a checklist, let's say. And let's say the checklist was Connie's 7-step sales process to improve your overall sales and numbers and whatnot. So I could call him up and say, hey, can I speak to Johnny? Right. And Johnny says, yeah, it's Johnny. And I say, Johnny, it's Mostafa. I work with Connie Whitman. Did I catch you at a bad time? He may say, yeah or no. Well, go ahead. What's up? I'll be like, look, the reason that I'm calling is our system shows that you have downloaded a checklist about improving your sales process. Does that ring a bell? Oh, yeah, I did that the other day. Well, I'm just wondering if you have a minute to talk about that. Right. Then I have a reason to call them. I've followed up on their action. Then I'd be like, look, I'm pretty sure you were not trying to waste your time when you were downloading this checklist. Do you mind if we talk about what the problems that are top of mind for you when it comes to sales? Right. Then I'm tapping into the problem. Right. So they'll be like, all right, what is the biggest challenge you're trying to solve? Then they'll tell me what's going on. They were going to confirm that. Is this a problem that you want to fix? Would you like us to help you with that? Notice I'm not pushy. I'm asking, like, do you want to fix this? If they say no, I'll be like, no problem. Let's just move on. But if they say yes, then we work on booking an appointment.
And there's the lead, right? And it's as simple as doing something with the lead that came in. We're spending all this money on lead generation and landing pages and all the technology to support this stuff. And the technology of a telephone, or now with Zoom, it's a beautiful way for us to connect and see the person, not just hear a voice on the other end. And you could share screens and show a resource that might help them right here, right now. So we're always adding value as well. It's the
100%.
easiest form of, I think, new business development personally. And oh, by the way, that's how we get referrals. So the other funny thing too is, right, Mostafa, when you have those calls and they're like, oh, that's so nice of you to follow up. I really appreciate it. No one ever does that. You've differentiated yourself in the marketplace. So that's kind of cool. Then the other thing too is, once you prove yourself and you say to them, listen, I'm always looking to grow my business and I hope I could support you with your business with referrals and stuff. Is there anybody that maybe I can help what I did with you that I could do for them. Now it's tangible. They know what you did for them. Now they refer somebody who needs exactly what they needed. It becomes like an 80% close ratio versus a 10 or 20% through the automation. I'm not saying stop automation, but we have to do it better with the touchy feely. And I don't mean that in a weird way, but that connectivity that we have with clients.
100%. And we always ask for a referral.
Yeah.
Even if the person in front of us says, look, I'm not interested right now, then we end the call with, look, I totally understand you're not in the market for this right now, but who do you know that might be having this problem that we could help?
Yep. And
a bunch of people say, I don't know anybody, but I'm just looking for that 2 to 5 people out of 100 calls that say, yes, I know either 1 or 5 people, and you never know, maybe they're going to introduce you to a community of people that could it turn into something. And like you said, the conversion rates on referrals are between 50 to 80%. It's like so much easier, and therefore the profits are so much higher.
And I'll share a quick story. So I had a client, banks, my corporate clients are banks, Mostafa, and it was a bank up in, I want to say Vermont, very tiny little bank. I think he had like 2 or 3 branches in the network, and loved me, loved what I was doing. He knew I can help him, and he was ready to hire me. And I said to him, I'm too expensive. You're not going to get the return on the investment that you should. And he had a really bright young man who he just hired in marketing, and they were really starting to build, right, the culture of the organization. I said, let me work with him. I think I could get him to do meetings and stuff like that. So hire me as a consultant, not to come in and physically do the training. It'll be a lower price point, but I think we could get quicker results for you. What do you think? And he was like, but I want to hire you. I'm like, but it's too much money for what you're trying to accomplish. Let's try it my way. He was on board with it. I made a few $1,000s where I could have made 30 or 40 grand, right? And he ended up sending me so many referrals of other CEOs at other banks, that because I did the right thing, and he saw that, plus I got the results doing it my way, right? Saving him the money. He was like, everybody needs to know Connie Whitman, right? So that's the value of, number one, doing the right thing. And I didn't even have to ask him for a referral, just because I did such a good job. He started naturally referring me. This is the power of what Mostafa and I are talking about today. It's creating that dynamic referral process, right? Just by doing the right thing for the client. That's really 100%. What we're talking about, right?
100%. And you did the right job of downselling him. Yeah. Instead of trying to get 30, 40 grand.
Absolutely.
Most people would attempt to do that.
Yep.
And,
when I made hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
Right. So like, think before you throw the baby out with the bathwater, that old saying, right?
You played the long game.
It's always the long game with stuff. And I know you're philosophically the same thing, right? What do the 100%. Clients need? How can I support it? And we keep, circling and circling, because needs change also for our clients, 100%. Right? So another question for you. What are the top 3? I know where I see it, but what are the top 3 businesses, places where businesses leave money on the table? What do you see in your world?
So you already touched on this. Like, people spend a lot of money to find new leads. The leads come in and they don't follow up with them. So in my experience, being in the marketing world for the past 12, 13 years, it costs us an average of $300 to $1,000 to get a lead.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that's a combination of money, time, and other resources that you have to put in. So you spend all that money, bring the lead in. Most people don't even have a conversation with the lead. Right? Excuse me. So they don't follow up with the lead. They leave the lead on the table and the money on the table, and that person is just hanging in there by themselves. And their challenges or the problems are not fixed, right? So that's the very first place where people don't follow up, and the lead is gone.
Yeah. Okay? Opportunity.
And I learned this from Jeff Walker, the launch guy.
Yep.
That 80% of transactions happen within 18 months of the first point of contact.
Yep.
And guess what? 99.9% of businesses don't stay in touch with their contacts for not even a month, never mind 18 months. And they're leaving multiple 6, 7, 8, 9 figures on the table, depending on the type of business they're in.
Right.
So that's the first place. Second place is their existing customers. So most businesses don't stay in touch with their customers as long as the customer is paying. You ever had a problem like your vendors call you the moment your credit card declines? They pick
Yeah.
up the phone and be like, hey, your payment declined. You're not paying us. And that's when they call you, right? And you're like, dude, I've been paying you like for 5 years straight every month. And the first time that I hear from you is when the payment declines. That's a big problem. So you should stay in touch with your existing customers on a recurring basis. Now, here's a third place. Previous customers, past customers, we would stay in touch with them because we could reactivate them, we could get referrals from them, and the rest of it.
Yeah, life
So
change.
so leads, existing customers, past customers.
Yeah, because past customers, even if they don't need me now, a year from now, it can change and they need me again, right? Because maybe their business, they're taking on a different business venture and they don't have it quite narrowed in onto their sales presentation, right? So you never know because things change, business change, we evolve,
100%.
right? You and I reconnected, we haven't talked probably in about 6 months and we were like, hey, miss each other. What's going on? How you doing? Let's jump on a Zoom call. Mostafa talked to me about the call center. I'm like, dude, we got to do a show. This is such an important topic, such a great resource. Yeah, let's do it. Right. Bing, bang, boom. And we're recording a show.
Done.
There's the support from Mostafa because I like him. I had his class. I follow him. It works. This is so simple. It's ridiculous. And here's the other thing I see with my clients, Mostafa. They make things more complicated than it has to be. And what we're talking about, I know they're listening going, these two are out of their mind. That sounds so easy. It is. It's that easy, what we're describing, and the results become exponential for you. You just have to make it a habit, right?
100%. Can I share some details of our story like recently?
Yes.
So I went through my list and I'm like, I haven't chatted with Connie. So I have a habit of reaching out to people once or twice a year, have a conversation like this.
Me too.
So I messaged Connie. I'm like, Connie, we should probably chat. Connie, no response. And then I think I followed up once or twice. I'm like, Connie, we should probably chat. No response. Then I sent probably a second or third message, said, Connie, are you mad at me? I was joking, right? And Connie's like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't check Facebook. Yeah, let's connect, let's talk. And then we connected, we had a conversation. And that's basically why we're here, right? And we don't know what's going to transpire. I mean, I'm going to refer Connie to people. Connie's probably going to refer people to me. We don't know what's going to transpire out of this show, who's going to see it and what's going to happen. But if we didn't do that little follow-up piece, this thing would not happen.
So you had to shame me on my own show, Mostafa. You had to shame me on my own show.
That was so you literally didn't check your Facebook, and I'm like, yeah. And so I'm talking about the power of the simple follow. And here's a fact: most people would probably get offended the first time they didn't hear back. Like, Connie hates me. Oh, we're not going to talk, right?
I'm never going to follow up with her again.
Yeah, and I turned into a joke like, Connie, are you mad at me? She's like, no, I'm not mad at you. I'm just busy. And here's the thing: give people some room because they're busy.
That's right.
Right? They got a business. They got a life. They have things to do. Right. And I am not the center of Connie's world.
That is true. I love you, but
I love you, but I've got other things to do. So,
and it's funny too. That's another thing with Mostafa, right? So like at the end, I'm going to share Mostafa's contact information. And before I said, email, what's the best way to get, I always ask my guests, what's the best way if somebody has a specific question for you, Mostafa? And he says, I'm on LinkedIn more than I'm on email. So LinkedIn would be the best place. And I said, okay, perfect. People ask me and I say, LinkedIn or email. I'm rarely on Facebook. And I'll tell you exactly what happened, just so everybody understands this. I wasn't mad at Mostafa. I wasn't like, oh, he's bothering me. It was like, oh, I do have to reach out to him. You know what? I have to get my calendar. Like, I don't have time right now. I'll go back to it later. And I never went back.
You probably got busy and you forgot.
I did. And I'm not on Facebook every day. It dropped through the cracks. You sent it again. I'm like, my bad. I gotta connect with him. It was just bad timing. I was busy. And then the third time when he said, are you mad at me? I felt so bad because I thought, oh, I didn't respond. And Mostafa knows that's not like me because I am responsive. I felt bad, and I didn't respond because I felt bad. I responded because I certainly didn't want you to think that I was mad at you, for sure, that even though we were joking, right? But what if? And it was me who dropped the ball because I was busy. So if he hadn't followed up with me, we wouldn't be having the show, which I think is really important. And I've never done a show on follow-up. So you see how the magic works by
100%.
just doing that persistent. And my follow-up, I'll share with you, Mostafa, I didn't in my intro. When I tease, when I train, it's called CPR, because I believe that we have to keep breath into those relationships. So we have to do CPR, and CPR stands for consistent, persistent, respectful follow-up. And what Mostafa did was persistent, consistent, and very respectful. He didn't every day, why aren't you responding? He wasn't a jerk about it, right? He was respectful of my time. So all of those things come into the mix of what we're talking about today.
100%. Can I share a personal story here?
Absolutely, please.
I was trialing a video software recently. And one of their sales team, I had a chat with him, shared a couple of feedbacks about their software and how to improve it, and he didn't like it. And then what happened was 7 days later, he goes, going back to consistent, persistent, and respectful. He emails me back and says, are you done with the trial or should I shut you down? I'm like, are you serious, bro?
Wow.
And he was following up. Look, that respectful piece is important. Be nice to people. And let me add one more thing to this follow-up piece.
God,
Like,
appalling, by the way.
people are busy. And so we keep nicely and like respectfully and consistently following up until it's the right moment for them to talk to us.
That's right.
And they keep brushing us off, like, and they're like, look, I don't have time right now. And I'm like, you know what? This guy's a busy guy. Like, he doesn't have time. No problem. I'll call you next week. I'll call you the week after or next month. And then quite often, when we do it consistently and respectfully, and we finally get a hold of them, they're like, thank you for following up.
Yes.
And thank you for putting up with me. And I'm really glad that you did, because if you didn't do it, we would not be here today.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so don't give up. What I'm trying to say is,
yeah. And here's the other thing. I'm always asked, well, when should I, like, how frequently should I follow up? It depends on your industry. It depends on the price point. There's a whole bunch of mechanics that go into it. But here's the bottom line. Customers need to hear from us 15 to 18 times, typically, could be even higher now, before they'll even say, hey, I think I want to talk to you. Or, hey, are you the one who does? Meanwhile, you sent them 15 emails, right? And you're thinking, yeah, it's me. Here's that 15 to 18, everybody thinks it has to be a Zoom or a phone call. No, no, no. It could be a mailing. It could be an article you share. It could be a LinkedIn post. It could be an email on your newsletter. It could be a free giveaway that you're part of. That 15 to 18 could be in multiple ways. And then when they're ready for you, they know how to find you. And here's the last thing I will share with that. When I send the email and I think, oh, I think now I'm bridging that, possibly getting a little pushy because they're not responding to my emails at all. This is the email I will send Mostafa, or the message I will leave. Hey, listen, it's Connie Whitman. If it's a voicemail, and I'll say, I never want to be a pest to anyone. I am very diligent with my follow-up because you matter to me. This will be my last phone call. I promise. I am here if you need me, but I will not call you again because I don't want to become that icky person, right? Do you know, inevitably, I get a phone call back. No, I've just been busy. You can never be pushy, Connie. We love you. Or the email, as soon as I send it, they respond, my bad. I was rude. And I was busy, Connie. Please, please keep your emails coming. Timing's off. And I say, listen, I'm going to keep the emails coming. You're in my newsletter. I'll follow up in 3 months. Would that be okay? And now you're getting their approval and you're showing that you're respectful in how you follow up. Inevitably, every time I do that voicemail or email, I get an immediate response. So
100%.
Don't think that you assume you're being a pain in the behind. Don't let them know you don't want to be a pest, but you want to be diligent with your follow-up and articulate that very clearly, and people will open the door for you. It's amazing. It's just amazing.
100%. So can I share my sales philosophy?
Yes.
So my sales philosophy is that I believe in my product, so much so that if I see a person having a problem that I can fix and can help them resolve that issue, I hold myself responsible enough to even be called a pest. So eventually I can help them fix that problem, because I believe that if I don't do that, I would hurt them, their business, their team members, their customers, their families, and everyone around them.
Right.
Like, let's say someone has a sales problem, and let's say that I could help them fix that problem, right? If I don't do that, I'd be hurting them quite a bit.
That's right.
So maybe I need to be consistent and respectful to get the owner out of his own way so I can help him.
That's right.
And I'm okay being called all sorts of names and whatever they want to call me. But eventually, when I help them, maybe one day they're going to be like, and then here's another thing I've heard. Mostafa, I'm glad you stayed with me until we got this done.
That's right.
Because if you didn't do that, we wouldn't have fixed the problem.
Yeah, and that's the other problem I see in our industry, being in the digital space, Mostafa. People are really good with their lead magnets and their marketing and their messaging, right? And they get the response in and they make the sale, right? They'll sell their product or service. And what you just described, I want everybody to really hear it, because they're really good at the marketing. They're good at the sales conversation. To me, they're a little bit of a con artist with what I'm going to say next. They don't deliver what they promised. That's the ick factor. Okay, so you made the sale, yippee-ki-yay. To me, that's not the proof in the pudding. The proof in the pudding is not only did you make the sale, but you over-delivered. Now people are referring to you saying, holy crap, she delivers the best stuff, man. You know how much money I made working with Connie? You need to work with Connie. They're the kind of referrals I get, right? Because I over-deliver. And and I know, and I've seen it, and we've seen it in the marketplace, where they're great at the sales pitch, but then they don't deliver. So what Mostafa just said, he's like, oh no, you're going to finish this with me, because I know we're leaving results on the table, and you over deliver as well. So I just want everybody to hear that piece. You don't just make the sale and go, yippee-ki-yay, money's in the bank account. Now you have to put the pedal to the metal and deliver what you're promising for the client.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. Talk to me about, for this new adventure you're on, which I just love, who is the ideal client? So people listening, they'll understand if they're too small or if they're right in the sweet spot of who you can help.
For sure. So we work mostly with established businesses that are doing multiple six figures, probably higher 6 figures to 7 figures, and they have a proven high ticket offer that is north of 5K. So they either start small and they end up in 5K or higher, 5, 10, 20, 30, $100,000. And those are the type of businesses that we work with. We work with some coaching companies, some home improvement companies, and some medical clinics as well.
Yeah, really nice, really nice. So guys, if you fit that criteria, or I have sales managers on, listening to the show, or executives of organizations, if you fall within that criteria, I just jump on a call with Mostafa. He'll let you know if he can help you. And here's the other cool thing about Mostafa. Every time we talk to, we're always sharing resources. So even if this isn't a perfect fit, I am 90% sure he probably knows someone that can help you with whatever your situation is. You have a very robust network like I do, Mostafa. So again, because you play in this world, I think you'll be able to help people. So here's the 100%. Deal. Go to Mostafa's website, which is perseo.com. And it's persyo.com. I will put that in the show notes. Additionally, Mostafa's giving a beautiful gift, which I love. It's the Blueprint to Simple Retention Formula. I'm going to put the link in the show notes so you don't have to worry about writing it down. And the last thing is, if you really have a question that you want to just chat with Mostafa directly and not just be on his email list, I'm going to put his LinkedIn connection in the show notes as well. Message him, connect with him, and then you could pick his brain. Additionally, once you're on LinkedIn and or his email list, you'll start to see the stuff that he's doing. You'll get a little familiar with him, and then you'll know if you're the right fit for what he's creating in his world. So anything else you want to add, Mostafa, for that?
Yeah, so download the Blueprint to the Simple Retention Formula. That's like a step-by-step process to do the proper follow-up, keep your customers, get repeating business and recurring revenue, and increase your profits, keeping your customers happier. And this is like a low-hanging fruit that most people don't do. And If you wanted help with that, we are here to help. If you wanted to have a conversation on our websites, there are probably different opportunities to book a call with me, and I'll jump on a call. And like Connie said, if I can help, I'll let you know. If I can't, I'll be pretty honest about that as well. Or
Yeah.
I'll introduce you to someone that can. So
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you again, Mostafa. I'm so
thank
glad
you.
that you kicked me in the butt with
That's
the
the power of
basics.
follow-up.
See, isn't that funny that this was an exact example of the follow-up that we're talking about? And again, it was just because I was busy, not because I felt like he was a pest or I didn't want to, none of that even entered my mind. Busy. So again, be consistent, persistent, and respectful. Do your CPR follow-up. You heard it here first. And thanks again, Mostafa, for being on. Always fun. And always, I love hanging out with you. You're a gem. Thanks again.
Likewise. Thank you.
And I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together. No matter where you are in your business, your career, in your sales, in your communication skills, I've got your back. My guests have your back. And I do hope that the information we provide, information's a beautiful thing. Please do something with the information and the tips. And Mostafa literally gave you his script. I gave you my email and my script that I say on the phone. Start playing with it, make it yours, and see the magic that happens. Information into action creates reaction and magic. And that's what my guests and I hope for you. So thank you for tuning in. As always, you've been listening to Changing the Sales Game with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.net. As always, I wish you an inspired week filled with joy and magic. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one.